Hello, I'm Casey Aiken, and this is 21 This Week. Coming up next, Baltimore County Executive Kamenetz wants free community college for all Maryland high school graduates. Is he pandering for votes, or is he trying to help the state? The Bay Bridge is nearly 70 years old. Do we need another bridge to the Maryland Eastern Shore? And do Eastern Shore residents want to be connected? And the shooting at Great Mills High School, would more gun control have prevented it? Stay tuned. Our panel of insiders will give you the story behind the story. We're joined by the Dean of Democratic Punditry, Sam Statland, Secretary of the Maryland Republican Central Committee, Mark Uncapher, President of the Montgomery County Young Republicans, McHugh, and political strategist, Susan Heltemes. Stay tuned for these stories and more on the next 21 This Week. According to a Brookings Institution report, for the past few decades, it's been widely argued that a college degree is a prerequisite for entering the middle class in the United States. But the report also cautions that there is an enormous variation in the so-called return to education investment, and concludes that telling all young people that they should go to college no matter what, we're doing actual harm and disservice to some of them. Susan, during the 2016 election, Democratic candidates Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders promoted the idea of free public college for all and captured the inspiration of many. This week, Baltimore County Executive Kamenetz proposed free community college tuition to all Maryland high school graduates. Should all students go to college?
Well, as someone who worked on workforce issues in Montgomery County for over 15 years, there is a basic misunderstanding among almost everyone what community colleges are. In Minnesota, there was something called technical schools, which were melded with community colleges. If you look at Montgomery College now, you would be blown away. You can get everything from being a nurse to a CNA to being an auto mechanic. It is the most wonderful thing out. And yes, there are people who should not be getting a college education. In Germany, they split kids in the 9th grade and you go down one of two paths. I don't think we need to do that. But there are great needs out there. And it was ironic. I saw the newsletter of my congressman from where I grew up as a child, and he had Anderson Windows, which is a Minnesota company, visit him, and they were lamenting that they don't have technical people to work there.
But Susan, the question is, should it be free for everybody?
I think that it has been a concept that's been going on for a long time. A lot of people in Montgomery County have said so, and I'd say yes.
But a bad idea can be around for a long time.
No, it's
Susan.
a good idea.
Just because it's like, a concept that's been around for a long time.
It's like the ICC. Eventually we get around to it. There are other candidates, I believe, running for the state governor who are also very supportive.
We get around to it only if a Republican is governor. Sam, many liberals are opposed to free college for all because it would help the evil rich more than the poor. So what do you think of the idea?
I happen to think it's a great idea. I think it should be scaled down based on a household income, because obviously by giving free college to everyone, there's a cost factor. And if a parent or a family can afford to send a child to Montgomery College, I think that they could pay for it.
Well, if your tax dollars are going to support this, why shouldn't you get the same benefit in return? That's a ridiculous thing to say. That only the poor should get this.
I didn't say only the poor, Casey. I just said it should be based upon need. And there's nothing wrong with basing it on financial need. And Casey,
why,
I don't.
Why,
as an individual, Casey, I don't mind paying.
Why should I have to pay
share.
Why should I have to pay more?
Because it brings more economically to the county, having an educated workforce.
Okay.
So
why should my kid get the same advantage?
Well, send your
Who's
kid
not getting,
to
what
Montgomery College.
You'll get an advantage.
No, you know how much this is going to add to the budget.
Casey, a poor guy like you
budget.
Can pay for the whole.
It's going to add 100.
It would be free for your kids, Casey.
It's going to add $120 million to the budget.
There are thousands.
Who's going to pay for that? It's going to be the citizens of Montgomery County who pay for that, and then you're going to say, oh no, you can't send your kid to community college for free, you've got to pay even more.
There are thousands.
Casey,
Mark, as pointed out in the caveats to the Brookings report, there's data that suggests that a return from a college education may be marginal for many, especially white men. Why is that?
Well, one of the reasons, actually, to agree with Susan, Montgomery College is a good deal precisely because it doesn't have the inflated tuition that so many colleges and universities have around the country. And that inflated tuition that's gone up way beyond the rate of inflation has led to a level of debt on students who are getting out that basically makes the economics about education not as appealing as it was for a generation ago. Montgomery College is great already. I don't know that necessarily making it free is the way to go. It may be that with college and university, they've got to do a better job holding the line on
Well, you're
tuition.
keep in
absolutely
mind,
right.
Kate-
Montgomery College is a great bargain.
And
it's
getting better.
It's $6,000 a year for tuition and books. It's a great bargain. Dan, in one study using payscale.com data, there's a conclusion that not all college degrees are equal and are calculated that the return on investment for a humanities degree had a net return of minus $192,000. Doesn't that suggest that there are other things better than a squishy liberal arts degree?
Absolutely. There are mechanics out there. There are carpenters out there. There are welders out there that are making more money than people have a degree in liberal arts that are working at Starbucks. You know, the thing, too, is that a lot of people put themselves in a lot of financial ruin going to college out of state. It's called, if you're going to get a liberal arts degree, go to Towson. Take advantage of of the taxes that your parents are paying and go to an in-state school. Don't go to California to get a liberal arts degree to go work at Starbucks and then end up $150,000 in debt.
And you can go into Montgomery College and do carpentry and welding and all of those things. And it's interesting about the.
But should we be paying for it,
I
Susan?
think we should.
Yes, we should.
Why should we be paying for it?
Because you know what? There are thousands and thousands of jobs in this county that are going for want, for a lot of them for people with technical skills. If they had a free education, they would be adding to the tax base of this county.
Which would
and
pay
that's
for it,
critical.
Casey.
And
That would
what's-
pay for the cost.
And what's interesting, when you called parity of people with liberal arts colleges, I introduced Garrison Keeler once and I said, we're both Leos and we both graduated from the university with an English degree, but some of us have done better. And it was the white guy.
So you're proud of introducing a sexual pervert? Is that
Oh,
what
don't go
Mark,
there.
wrap it up for us.
Besides that,
It's
wait a
just
second.
uncalled
Of all the white guys on this panel, I'm the only
What?
one who went to Montgomery
Listen,
College
you should go
and
to-
benefited from
We got
it.
30
did
seconds. We got
50
30
years later.
seconds.
I did too.
We got 30 seconds left. Mark, wrap it up.
Unfortunately, I had to pay out-of-state tuition for my daughter who went to a school outside the state. Listen, you should go to the education and get the education that you get, regardless if parents
right.
can do it.
And what's
All right, so
really
I know,
good
Susan,
is
I want to wrap it
it's
up.
the
I want-
connection
here's the big-
between
here's the big-
community
Susan,
college and Shady
Susan,
Grove
Susan,
University now.
Susan.
That's critical.
Sure.
Thank you, Susan. All right, Susan, you can lead off with the question. Is Kamenetz just pandering for votes? Yes or
No,
no?
absolutely
Sam?
I don't think he's pandering for votes at all. Now, will it help his bid to become the nominee for governor? No.
Mark?
I think he's trying to deflect the effort that Vangelis is having, who's going to offer even more. And in a conversation of who can offer more goodies, Vangelis is going to beat Kamenetz.
Dan?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, this is pandering to the 18 to 25-year-old crowd that thinks Bernie Sanders is the greatest thing since sliced bread, free college, debt loan forgiveness, free pot. You know, he's pandering to that crowd. Absolutely.
All right, when we come back from this short break, do we need another bridge to the Eastern Shore? And what could have prevented the shooting at Great Mills High School this week? Stay tuned. And welcome back. The William Preston Lane Jr. Memorial Bridge, better known as the Bay Bridge, first built in 1952, spans nearly 5 miles of the Chesapeake Bay, connecting Maryland's eastern and western shores. The structure has nearly 61,000 vehicles crossing each day. Now there's a proposal that, with the backing of Governor Larry Hogan, to build a third bridge crossing between the western and eastern shores. The issue confronting planners is not only where should it be built, but is it wanted by the people on the eastern shore? Sam, future projections show that the traffic crossings will double in the next 20 years, at which time one of the spans of the Bay Bridge will be 90 years old. Isn't it appropriate time to study the need for another crossing?
It's absolutely the proper time to make that discussion. And as you know, people down in southern Maryland treat their property as we do the ag preserve. They absolutely don't want any kind of a road going through. And the people north of Baltimore proposed other site for a crossing. They want to keep also their country-ish atmosphere. They don't want it coming across. The preferred choice with the least flack seems to be near the original locations.
Well, that's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it, Sam?
I would think so.
Mark, the law of unintended consequences says that if a bridge is built, people will use it, and development will follow to serve them. Opening up the Eastern Shore are those a good idea or a bad idea?
Having a weekend at Ocean City, what could be wrong about that? I think this is an example where planners and the smart growth people get ahead of themselves and try and restrict the freedom, the opportunities that people have to enjoy themselves. But I would add, I got a proposal. Instead of the third bridge, I would much prefer a second crossing over the Potomac. And if that were in the cards, that would be my priority.
But
let's
then we're
not de-
talking about the Ag Reserve, which Sam just said.
No, a second crossing the Potomac River doesn't have to go through the Ag Reserve.
Right, it could be a point of rocks.
It goes south of it.
Guys, we're digressing from the
If you look at
topics.
if you look at 28 in Virginia to 28 in
Yeah,
Maryland,
right across White's Ferry, that'd be a real big hit.
but it doesn't go across the Ag Reserve.
No, it just skirts
But
the bottom
the
of it.
roads out there are just pitiful. I mean,
Well,
they would have to do
maybe
something
that
to
would help the roads.
Well, they would have to be expanded a lot.
Susan, we
270
could
or
put the
bust.
bridge right through the Trump National Golf Course. That would
Yeah.
be our compromise for you.
Exactly.
I think he would probably oppose
Well,
that.
let's get back to the subject at hand as Sam suggested.
It would be a great thing for the Eastern Shore. Population would expand down there. We would have much more economic stability. Their school systems would improve. Their tax base would improve. I think we might even eliminate some poultry farms for there to be less pollution for the bay. I think it's a good deal for everybody
Jobs
concerned.
will be lost.
Well, it would also help Southern Maryland if the bridge was built south of the current
But
But
do
again,
they
Casey, you're
want
going to have the
spur
same
development.
battle there that you guys just discussed and I just discussed on the Ag Preserve. And that's just almost an untouchable subject down there.
Well, why? But shouldn't it be addressed, Sam? Shouldn't we bring more economic development down to Southern Maryland?
We ought to address it all.
But do they want it?
No.
Well, there are just because people object to it doesn't mean it's a bad idea, Sue.
But if it were coming right through your land, they certainly have a right to say, "I don't want it here." I mean, that's
Go
what
through my
the whole
land.
process.
I'm sorry.
Listen,
all the people that
before
own-
1952, the only way to get across the bay were by ferry boats,
And it was fun.
It was fun.
Did you go
Did you
across-
did you ever sit in a backup on Route 50 trying to go across the Bay Bridge before the second span was built?
Many a time.
Many a time. How many hours did you have to sit
There
in that
used to
traffic?
be an airline called Skyline Airlines. It flew from BWI
maybe
to
the
Ocean
wealthy
City,
could
afford
and
it.
I
Well,
would
they-
take it.
But
till
as a
it broke down.
16-year-old kid, I sat many a Saturday afternoon in traffic jams
Well,
waiting
what
waiting
is
for
the
the
possibility-
bridge lanes to reverse.
What is the possibility, though, of expanding the bridge that there's now? I mean, just
There
add
is.
more lanes
Sure,
to that.
yes.
Wouldn't that make
Not
sense?
more lanes. You'd have to build
Yeah,
another
it's
structure.
another bridge.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of building another bridge.
Yeah.
But the one thing it would do, as we talked about way early in this discussion, is you got a 90-year-old bridge down there.
Yeah,
That's going to have
The
to
older
be
part.
Scary.
be
That's an old
redone and rebuilt.
Yeah. I just think that probably is the easiest thing to do.
Probably.
Wait a second. You have a 90-year-old bridge, and you remember before there was a bridge?
No, the bridge is only 70 years old.
By then,
It's only 66 years old since it was built in 1952.
I remember watching
the
you
same
grow up.
year, the same year that I was born.
But by the time we get around to it, like the ICC, it took 30 years. So then
Exactly.
it would be 90 years old.
See?
Well, I think the bridge should be built in the south and spur economic development all the way up and down the Eastern Shore and in Southern Maryland.
But
Yeah,
I
we
think-
once tried to build a bridge across the Potomac. Do you remember that?
What, the Three Sisters
Louis-
Bridge? The Three Sisters Bridge?
Into Goldstein's farm?
Well, Mark's suggestion that we build a second crossing of the Potomac River probably won't happen anytime before we build another crossing of the Chesapeake
And we'll
Bay.
probably all be dead.
Yeah, I don't know. But let's go on to our next topic. And this is a sad story. The news that there was a shooting at Great Mills High School in Southern Maryland in St. Mary's County on Monday felt like a kick in the gut. It's hard to conceive that such violence is once again perpetrated by someone so young. Susan, in this instance, the damage inflicted by 17-year-old Austin Wyatt Rollins was limited to 2 students, 14-year-old Desmond Barnes and 16-year-old Jalen Wiley. Barnes escaped with a minor gunshot to the leg, while Wiley unfortunately died today after being taken off life support as a result of her injuries. The shooter died after a confrontation with the school security officer. What could have prevented this shooting?
It blows my mind that a 17-year-old who had his heart broken by a 16-year-old girl would go out and shoot her. I think it says something about mental health of these predominantly white young men. He grew up in a very conservative family, and people were shocked. I think that one of the things where we have gone wrong in this country is they have cut out school counselors and school social workers. And the problem is my best friend from high school was a social worker in schools. And they cut her and put her back to being a phys ed teacher. And kids kept coming. That kid
Let's talk about the specific
he needed
instance.
help.
He did.
And
So-
he didn't
so
have
why
the
do you
kind
think
of-
why do you think that he didn't have that help there?
He didn't. The schools don't have that now. And the thing is that, which was said after Florida and everything else, if you see something, say something. There may have been clues with this young kid that right now we just ignore. I think across society we don't think about that. And maybe there were signs that this child needed help. But I can't imagine when I
Well,
was...
so would more laws have done
No, I'm
anything?
not saying that. When the governor talks about money for more cops in schools, I think that they should be looking more seriously at mental health and social workers and counselors for kids.
Mark, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, having school safety officer in place there, it appears made a very significant difference in averting what would have been a far more devastating tragedy. And it really helps makes the case for having that security in place. I mean, I don't disagree with you that it would have been nice to have been able to pick up the signs and symptoms of this, but in the incident in place, that officer made the difference.
Can
Sam,
you
I'm going to
imagine-
say, no, Susan, I want to go to Sam.
As best
Sam,
as best as I can understand in reading, this was more of a crime of passion than anything else. Kid was home, grabbed his father's gun. God knows how he got it, but he did. From a conservative family, it may have well been locked up, and went to school and shot this girl. I don't think that could be prevented.
But legislatively, there's nothing that people could do.
In this particular instance, no.
More help for
Dan.
schools
But
in
that-
terms of...
Now-
Armed security saves lives at schools. Strict Maryland gun laws make Baltimore City the most dangerous city in America.
But that has nothing to do with people in the schools
Over
as security officers.
Over 1,200 people have been murdered in Baltimore City since 2013 when
That
the
has
strict Maryland
nothing-
gun laws
But-
were signed.
but
They have
you
not
know what?
saved
In
one
Montgomery
life.
County,
Not one
we-
life has been saved in Baltimore since Martin O'Malley signed those laws in
What
2013. Not one.
Montgomery County has legislation about having locks on guns.
Right.
And if there
Well, we have
had
gun
been-
locks throughout the state, Susan.
I know.
For
and
Baltimore to have more
We're
murders now
not
than
talking-
Philadelphia
Listen, you're talking-
is remarkable.
But we
despite the
should.
strict gun
But we're
laws.
talking about gun
that-
deaths. I mean, let's not be so selective about gun deaths because the epidemic of gun violence in Baltimore is what's generating the most death. This is certainly a tragedy, and there's obviously anecdotal information, but what's happening in Baltimore is just catastrophic.
know what?
The number of murders are higher in Baltimore than New York City.
But wait a minute. Right
than-
now,
than
though, it is
Philadelphia.
going down. And one of the things that has made a difference is
been 3
that
months.
Baltimore has one of Baltimore's biggest problems were the corrupt cops. And they got rid of a group of corrupt cops that were
corrupt
fought.
cops
The
were killing
week,
people?
the week
No,
of the
let
week,
me finish
the
this.
week, the week of the
That's-
week of the
that's
march.
ridiculous.
No, the week.
No,
of,
it did,
the
because-
week of the march with the kids. 10 people were shot in Baltimore on Monday, including 2 teenagers that week, and nobody marched for those kids, and nobody said anything about their lives.
And
Everybody
no one's going to march for the kids that are killed this weekend when we have the grand march on the mall.
But you know what? There are kids speaking from Maryland.
And from Baltimore.
Isn't
That's
that-
right.
Yeah,
isn't
but
that
not about
wonderful?
Baltimore.
Isn't
Yes,
that
there
wonderful?
are.
They are.
He just said that. And the thing is that in they had problems with bad cops that were festering, and that
Bad
they
cops
now
had
have,
nothing to do with 10
Yes,
people
they-
being shot on that Monday. Not one cop was involved in that
Criminals kill
shooting.
people.
Not one.
Susan, not cops.
Well,
one
but
cop
if
was
you
involved
look
in
at
those
those
shootings.
kids, those guns aren't coming from Maryland on the whole. They're coming from Virginia.
No, they're being bought illegally.
Wait, so
From
what
Virginia.
we got to wrap it up.
Or
What
they're
it means
actually
is
being brought
that the
underground.
criminals will get the guns
Yeah.
no matter how many laws are in place.
But if we have
Stay tuned for
we have
parting shots when we
uniform
come back
laws,
from the
it will.
short. Oh, only if you want to take every gun away from everybody.
not there.
And then the criminals will only have the guns, Susan.
I'll repeat what I said last week. We still ought to ban all weapons that can be turned into automatic weapons.
All right.
And we
got to
know
go to
that
break.
Pistol and
Already
rifle.
did
Ladies
that,
and
period,
gentlemen,
pretty much.
we got to go to break. When we come back from the short break, parting shots, if we're still talking to one another. And now, welcome back with parting shots, Susan Heltemes.
After this week of snow and ice and schools being closed across the state, after schools being closed a week or so ago because of snow, Governor Hogan is getting a lot of heat. Like, maybe it wasn't so smart to start school after Labor Day and have to be done by June 15th because counties across the whole state are in a hither, and they're so upset. And the interesting thing is he did this because of his friend Peter Franchot. So if Governor Hogan loses, that could be one of the reasons. But the most important thing is, I would like to say congratulations to my friend Delegate Ben Kramer, who is getting married Saturday night to his honey Cindy. Congratulations to both of you. I wish you a long, 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 long time together.
Thank you, Susan. Dan McHugh, your parting shot.
Very sad to see one of the trademarks I used to spend much time as a teenager and a young man in my 20s. The Denny's over in Montgomery Village in Gaithersburg is closing down this Sunday. Very sad to see that institution go.
Thank you, Dan. Mark Uncapher, your parting shot.
Well, I know this show thrives on controversy of Susan being wrong and I'm being right, or vice versa. But the good news is that this year in the legislature, there have been a number of issues that have been addressed on a bipartisan basis. And it probably doesn't get as much attention, but the legislature and the governor have been able to come together on things like the testimony of sexual predators, an issue that's been tied up for about a decade. Tax relief, not as much as we should have gotten in terms of having the law coincide with the federal law, but there will be some relief there. And also funding for Metro. So there are good things, good bipartisan activity happening from Annapolis.
Thank you, Mark. Sam Statland, your parting shot.
Well, folks, on October 14th of this year, we're going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Mobile Medical Care Incorporated. And Mobile Medical Care, as you may know or are learning, has been providing primary health care for those who have no insurance in this county for 50 years, using approximately 140 volunteer doctors and nurses with our partners with Suburban Hospital, Adventist Healthcare, Holy Cross, and has just done a wonderful job. So open up your hearts and see if you can support Mobile Medical Care for its 50th anniversary, October 14th at Argyle Country Club.
Thank you, Sam. Now, for my parting shot, I have two thoughts that I want to talk about today. First is the closing of all the Toys R Us stores across the nation. Many fail to realize that Toys R Us was founded by a Rockville native who passed away, and his obituary is in today's Washington Post. But the most remarkable thing was that the first store was founded on Rockville Pike, where Pike and Rose now stands. Also, the next thing is, next week, baseball season. On Thursday, the 29th, I'm going to the Orioles opening game, and I can't be more excited about going up to Baltimore and seeing the O's play. And then I get to turn around and go to the Nats opening game as well. So it's going to be a great weekend for me. I hope everyone has a wonderful Palm Sunday and a great Easter. For 21 this week, I'm Casey Aiken. Thank the audience for tuning in. Thank the panel for being here.